No, I couldn't get Adam for the Ant-Man and Wasp review. Oh, no. I like Adam. I could do the review with you if you like. But you haven't seen it. Well, no. No. But that doesn't matter, does it? Hey, I mean, Ant-Man's in it, right? Is Wasp in it? Antman and Wasp stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, and Michael Pena, and is directed by Peyton Reed. Set after the events of Civil War, but before Infinity War, Scott is under house arrest, and while trying to balance his duties as a father and serve out the remainder of his sentence, he's dragged into a rescue mission by Hope and Dr. Hank that also uncovers some secrets of the past. Infinity War certainly took some risks. I really enjoyed that film, and I think it really went in and changed the Marvel movie formula up just a little bit, and it was definitely some welcome changes in that movie. Ant-Man and Wasp pretty much goes back to playing, I guess, a very familiar tune, one that we've come to expect from Marvel movies of the past. And it really hits very similar beats to some of those earlier movies in this particular cinematic universe. So it's a pretty safe movie, except that it's really got the balls to expect that you really know these Marvel movies very, very well. Ant-Man and Wasp has a way of jumping straight in, and it doesn't really care if you can't keep up. My advice would be to check out Civil War prior to going into this film, and you pretty much should have a good time knowing characters' motivations and their connections to one another. Peyton Reed returns to the director's chair once again after replacing Edgar Wright on the first film, and he did a reasonably okay with the first Ant-Man, and I guess he does a reasonably okay job with Ant-Man and Wasp once again. He really sets about ticking all the boxes with what worked with the first film, and goes about setting up a lot of sequences and a lot of character moments which really do call back to the first film. The problem here is, while that's all serviceable and fine here, there's not really anything new that's brought to the table here. It's almost as if he's on autopilot through most of this, really struggling to tell a fresh angle with this material. There's certainly a lot thrown into this screenplay, and it's an incredibly busy plot with multiple storylines playing out. You've got Hank and Bill's falling out, a young girl Ghost with quantum phasing issues, Jeanette who needs rescuing from the quantum realm, a black marketer, Sonny Birch, who works for some really dangerous people, and a whole lot of scientific exposition from most of the characters. So we certainly have a lot going on in this particular movie. It's a really busy plot. However, Reed doesn't really bring much inspiration to really make any of these sequences memorable, and I think that's the problem here. Sure, it plays out fine, it's not incredibly messy, however, it's just not all that memorable, except for one particular sequence involving Truth Serum, and this is Michael Pena's character Lewis, who also gets a really funny montage here. And it's at this particular point in the film, when this sequence plays out, that the film really kicks into gear, and it's an incredibly funny sequence. However, it's too short, and then we're back to really a film that sort of plays out in a very safe and a very stale way. We've certainly had some strong Marvel villains in recent memory. Ghost and Sonny are sadly ineffective as villains in this particular story. Sonny is sadly underwritten in this film, and I actually found myself sympathizing with Ghost's situation, and I'm not quite sure if that was Reed's intention for this particular film, but I did sympathize with her. And Ant-Man and Wasp spend so much time fighting Ghost, and you actually work out long before the characters do that everybody can actually work together. And this is never a good position to be in with a film when you are ahead of the characters. The cast is certainly a good selling point with this film, and Paul Rudd and Michael Pena, to their credit, they really try hard with some of this material. However, the jokes only land about half the time, and this is really, once again, down to a script. They're really working against a really mediocre script this time around, and also some very choppy editing in places. And this is one of my main gripes with some of these Marvel films, is that there is a lot of choppy editing going on, which don't really allow us to really soak in the setting, the characters, the moments within the film, and they actually just brush past them. For example, in a car chase sequence, Paul Rudd's suit is malfunctioning, and unfortunately he can't change sizes like he wants to, and I guess you could say he's pretty large at this particular point. He grabs a semi-trailer truck and he ends up using it like a scooter to go after the bad guys. But the film actually really brushes past this moment, and unfortunately the joke doesn't land as much as it could have. we're in the middle of the city and there's no cutaways to any of the passerbys on the side of the streets reacting to what's going on. And you see, that's really also us in the film, is we're actually watching what's happening here and we're not afforded the opportunity to reflect on it either. The film almost doesn't really care about all of these amazing things that are going on. And I think that's my main issue here with Ant-Man and Wasp, is that I don't feel that Ant-Man and Wasp is fully invested in its story as it could have been. It really feels like it's just going through the motions in this particular film and really brushing past potentially compelling moments within the film. At least with a film like Thor Ragnarok, for example, when the stakes weren't quite as high as, say, Infinity War, or as morally complex as Civil War, it could actually provide us with a lot of comedy, and it certainly did. I mean, it was a very, very funny film, and the film was a hit for that particular reason, because the comedy was so great. And I feel Ant-Man and Wasp should have gone in this direction. It should have upped the comedy a lot more and provided us with a lot of funny moments, and I think the film could have been a winner. I have been a little bit more negative on this review than intended. It's not really a bad film, it's just okay, it's quite mediocre, and unfortunately it is a step backwards from the great Infinity War which we recently got. Ant-Man and Wasp isn't a terrible film by any means, but just don't go in expecting a lot of buzz or excitement or anything big this time around, and you should have an okay time with it. As it stands, I'm going to give Ant-Man and Wasp 2.5 stars. And I'm going to give it 5 stars. Yeah, but you haven't seen the film.
65.
If you two are finished comparing sizes...
65.
So guys, did you like Ant-Man and Wasp? Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. And of course, if you dug this review, don't forget to flick a like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell as well so you never miss a review. And until next time guys, remember, a weekend watching movies is a weekend well spent. Thanks heaps for watching. So can we talk about Fallen Kingdom again?